So ICF stands for insulated concrete forms. It's basically two pieces of expanded polystyrene held together with a web, and then you pour concrete in the middle of it, and that gives you your foundation or your wall system.
So building with ICF is definitely more environmentally beneficial. The foam, the plastic, everything that goes into the actual product is already made of some recycled material, if not all recycled material, depending on the product.
Also, super energy efficient. Building here in the Northeast with the stringent energy codes, here in Connecticut you have to build to R30 walls. You're going to far exceed the requirements with insulated concrete forms because of the thermal mass and the continuous insulation, the continuous concrete. Not going to have any air infiltration, and that's where ICF really exceeds as well.
What you're essentially doing is slowing the transfer of energy. That's all insulation does, right? Rule number one with thermodynamics is that heat goes to cold. If it's cold outside, the heat in your house wants to go there. If it's hot outside and it's cold inside, the heat wants to go there. So the slower that we make that process and the more time that we have it take to have that process happen is essentially how efficient a home is. Now you've got foam insulation, you've got a concrete thermal mass, you've got more foam. So the energy has to transfer through the foam, change this huge density of concrete, transfer through the foam. In a traditional wall assembly, it's got to transfer through the air that's going through the insulation fiber, through the sheathing, maybe through some exterior insulation, and do that same process. There's not a whole lot of mass there. With the concrete wall, you've got to change the temperature of 8, 6, 12 inches of concrete before it's going to transfer the energy again. And so that thermal mass is super, super beneficial. And what you notice in a lot of ICF homes is that the thermostat doesn't fluctuate. It stays much more constant. And it has small incremental changes, but it takes days and days for that change to happen, as opposed to a kind of normal home where it might take 4 hours or 6 hours. It could be 5 days before that temperature would actually truly change. People talk about concrete having a pound for pound CO2 production to concrete, but in reality, it's a pound for the cement portion. When we use a ground up recycled glass additive, it can replace pound for pound 50% of the cement, and it will essentially have the same strength. It can sometimes actually be stronger, and it's been proven to be just as resilient. There's no downside to it, but you're reducing the carbon footprint of that concrete mixture.
Yeah, and potentially using ICF, especially for the foundation, because it's the perfect curing agent for concrete, you can use thinner walls than traditional construction would use. So maybe you can use a 6-inch or 8-inch wall below grade rather than a 10-inch. So just by using 20 or 40% less concrete, you're going to reduce any potential carbon.
We don't do this just because it's more energy efficient or because it's safer or because it's resilient. It's the feeling that you get when you come inside one of these homes that you're just like, wow, it just feels different. You're not used to feeling that way.